like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Airports have a strange way of creating their own universe, a place where time stretches and bends, where people rush yet somehow everything feels suspended. The cool white lights from above reflect on polished floors and endless glass panels. The departure boards flicker with changing numbers, and the distant hum of rolling luggage blends with scattered announcements in multiple languages. But on that particular day, all of that background noise fell away, as if the entire space stepped aside to make room for one presence, Jungkook. He appeared without fanfare, without dramatic cues, without the manufactured glow of stage lights. Yet the moment he stepped out from the arrival gate, something shifted, as if gravity itself leaned in his direction. Jungkook walked calmly, dressed in an all-black outfit that somehow made the air around him vibrate. A soft black jacket draped effortlessly over his shoulders, fitted black pants that moved in perfect rhythm with his steps, and clean black shoes that caught glints of light each time they hit the floor. He wore no excessive accessories, only a black mask and slightly tousled dark hair that looked as if the wind at 30,000 feet had kissed it a little too long. And yet it was enough to make him look like the lead character stepping out of a long, cinematic journey. Everything about him was quiet, except his presence. And in the middle of all that dark, perfectly coordinated clothing, one thing shone brighter than anything else: his eyes. Jungkook's eyes, round and gentle, lit up like small lakes touched by morning light. They were too expressive to be hidden, too alive to be dulled by the monochrome surrounding him. The moment he lowered his mask for a second, perhaps to adjust it or take a breath, the airport atmosphere cracked open. The entire space seemed to lean toward him, captured by those soft, bright eyes that held warmth even in silence. Eyes that made people forget how to breathe for a moment. He wasn't trying to charm anyone. He wasn't posing. He was simply walking, holding a large black tote bag in one hand, his pace unhurried. But every movement pulled people in. Each step sent cameras fluttering. Each tilt of his head created a ripple of awe. Even the rolling suitcase dragged by his manager seemed to disappear under the noise of camera shutters and the murmured chorus of his name being called from every direction. Then came the moment, a single, tiny moment, when he turned his head to the left after hearing someone call him. Just a slight turn. Just a few degrees. But his bright eyes swept across the crowd with a softness that felt like a touch. Even from afar, the warmth of it was unmistakable. His gaze carried something honest, something unguarded. Anyone who met those eyes, even through a phone screen, would feel that unmistakable sensation of falling. Not the painful kind, but the kind that makes your heart feel heavy and weightless at once. His eyes have always held a language of their own. They never needed words to speak. And that day, in the middle of a cold, sterile airport, they radiated a gentle energy, like someone who was tired from travel but happy to be home, someone who carried a quiet joy in his chest. They contradicted the hardness of his black outfit, creating a contrast so striking that he seemed to glow. The black was a choice, but the brightness of his eyes was something he simply was. Something his soul carried naturally. As he reached a wider area of the terminal, security gave him space, but it didn't stop fans from filling every corner with whispered excitement. Jungkook lifted his hand for a tiny wave, the faintest smile curling at the corner of his lips. It barely lasted a second, but it ignited a warmth so soft it felt like sunlight brushing against skin. That was Jungkook, quiet but powerful. Simple but unforgettable. Some say his smile makes him look like a small, soft angel. But on that day, he looked more like the perfect meeting point of night and dawn. His all-black outfit carried the mystery of night, while his bright eyes carried the promise of morning. The combination was intoxicating. Too beautiful to be real. Too gentle to be ignored. Fans who stood at the front lines of the crowd, mere steps away, could see details that cameras often missed. The way his eyelashes fluttered when he blinked. The way light from the departure board reflected faintly in his eyes. The way his lips pursed slightly, Not in irritation but in a small attempt to suppress a laugh at hearing a fan call his name adorably. These tiny, delicate details created a vivid picture of someone who was somehow impossibly soft yet impossibly striking. There is always something different about Jungkook in airports. On stage, he is fire and storm, powerful, explosive, unstoppable. But in airports, he becomes quiet thunder. A wandering soul with maturity etched into the calm way he moves. He is not an idol performing, he is simply a young man returning from a long journey. And it is exactly in these moments that his charm feels the most real. As he approached the main exit, a breeze slipped in from outside. It brushed through his hair, making him pause for a split second to push it back with a casual, almost sleepy gesture. Such a small movement, yet the crowd reacted as if they had witnessed something monumental. Because there is something undeniably human in the way Jungkook moves, something warm, something spontaneous. It reminds people that the man behind the global superstar is still someone who gets his hair messed by the wind and fixes it in the simplest way. The doors opened, allowing daylight to wash over him. His mask was back on, but his eyes remained visible. Right? So familiar. They scanned the sea of fans waiting outside, sending a silent thank you in their direction. Many believe that Jungkook's eyes don't just look, they feel. Since they comfort. And on this chilly airport day, they radiated a warmth that stayed long after he had disappeared into the car waiting for him. When the door finally closed, sealing him inside the vehicle and away from the crowd, people slowly began to disperse, still breathless, still stunned. But everyone carried the same sensation home with them, the feeling of having fallen. Fallen into the brightness of his eyes. Fallen into the contrast between his dark silhouette and gentle presence. Fallen into the quiet gravity of someone who doesn't try to be extraordinary, yet effortlessly is. And maybe that is Jungkook's most dangerous charm. He doesn't need bright colors. He doesn't need loud moments. He doesn't need dramatic poses. All he needs to do is exist, in an all-black outfit with eyes that shine like morning light, and the world falls effortlessly at his feet. One glance. One tiny smile. One quiet moment. That is all it takes. Because once you fall into Jungkook's bright eyes, there is nothing to do but surrender and let yourself be carried deeper into the soft, impossible light he brings wherever he goes.
정우씨 잘 다녀오셨나요?